Hey everyone, welcome to the Promethean Tides podcast. I'm General, and I'm joined as always by Breaker. Hey Breaker, how's it going?
Internet VPN. Use our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends VPN. Error.
Yes, the good old RSL VPN. That's who we're sponsored by this week. Fuck yeah. And in addition to that, we have a guest this week, Jesus. What's going on, Jesus?
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
I want to point out to the audience that this is actually not the real Jesus. This is an imposter Jesus. He is not actually the Son of God. Just we're all
sorry
clear
to
on that.
disappoint.
Yeah, well, maybe you can try.
Yeah,
you can try better next time.
we might have certain viewers that may have been confused. It's like, no one stand outside with your arms outstretched in expectation of the rapture. This isn't like false alarm. This isn't the real deal. It's not time yet. Just go back inside and buy our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
So obviously this was a huge week in terms of the Supreme Court and the decisions that they made. We had two major stories. So there was a New York state gun law that was stricken down by the Supreme Court, and basically that means that they have to allow people to conceal carry within their state, and this will end up affecting a number of other states, such as Maryland and New Jersey. So that I think for many Americans, that's actually good news. For some Americans, that's incredibly scary and terrible news. But we'll get into that, and then probably the even bigger story is that the Supreme Court also came out and it murdered Roe v. Wade. So I think that there's also a lot of feelings about that. Personally speaking, I think that it's a really just fantastic move on the part of the Supreme Court. In my personal opinion, I don't think that it actually mentioned abortion anywhere in the Constitution, which means that I don't really think that that's up to the federal purview. I think that should be a state's rights, and I don't think that you can justify it using the 14th Amendment and just saying that, oh, it's about privacy. So I think good moves all around from the Supreme Court, and we'll get into that. So let's start out chronologically with the gun bill. Jesus, I know that you're a gun owner. What is your perspective on this ruling?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it is very appropriate. The decision was very appropriate. I don't think that states have the right to withhold concealed carry permits to their citizens. I think it's outrageous and it's unconstitutional. And it makes sense. It's clearly outlined in the Constitution, so states do not have the right to regulate that.
Yeah, it's so it was one of those things where there are states that have shall issue. There are states that have constitutional carry. There are states that have shall issue, and there are states that have may issue. And then there are states that have, technically speaking, may issue, but in practice, no issue. And New York was one of those states, and well, it seems to me as though the Second Amendment is, that's the one that's in the Constitution, so that is up to the federal government. That is not a state's rights, and so New York cannot be going against the Constitution. They're just not allowed. I don't see any sort of legal argument that the left really has going against this decision, except for, but guns are scary.
Pretty much. Just very scary. They look scary. Weapons of war.
After my most recent, if I might interject, after my recent estrogen injection, I'm starting to think that firearms are bad and scary, and I don't want to be around them.
they are scary, Bricker, but what if we paint them pink or rainbow? Then it's not as bad.
Hey, there we go.
See, that's a symbol of pride. I could get behind that.
Yeah.
Time for more soul.
Yeah, that's the
We need pride.
that's how you get the left to just completely get on board with assault rifles. You paint them rainbow and they'll go, "Oh, I support this now."
It's like that freaking meme of the capitalist trying to sell crappy clothes and he's frowning, and then he paints all the clothes with rainbows and a bunch of soy boys pop in the door and he jacks the price up to double, and then there's a big grin on his face.
So this to be clear though, from what I've gathered, this has to do with concealed carry. So I think that New York can still have insane gun laws. Like, I forget if it's New York or if it was like New Jersey that did this, but it was something like you're allowed to have a magazine that has like a 12 bullet capacity, but you're only allowed to put 8 bullets in, and if you put more than 8 bullets in, what you're doing is illegal. Like they can still have these insane laws. They can still just like call something, I guess, an assault weapon and have it be illegal for no known reason. So it's not completely perfect. And Kavanaugh himself, he part of the decision that Kavanaugh put in was that these states they can still hand out the permits. They just have to actually hand out the permits. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it is a step in the right direction, I think, for the right to bear arms, which should be everyone's right, because that's what the fucking Constitution says.
Yep. Clear, simple.
It reminds me of that joke Alex Jones did where he was likening them to babies. And they were like, "Oh, Big Boom Boom, scary. I don't like Big Boom Boom. Make Big Boom Boom illegal."
So, all right. How about this question? Taking the Second Amendment to its logical place. Obviously, I think that Americans should have the ability to own fully automatic weapons. I think that that's clear. But how much further than that do we go? Can you own
A lot further.
Hell yeah.
A lot further. I mean, think about it. At the time, and it's been argued. Biden said that, hey, well, in 1776, people weren't allowed to own cannons. Yes, you were.
Yes,
people did own cannons to protect their ships. So, in theory, you could extend this to chemical weapons. I don't think that it should be extended to chemical weapons. I think that might be a little bit too far. The hard right libertarian in me wants to say yes, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky problem. So the ANCAP in me says that everyone should have the right to their own thermonuclear weapons. But I guess that there is kind of a practicality kind of thing here. So, you know, from just the perspective of good old American pragmatism, maybe you shouldn't have the right to own weaponized anthrax or a dirty bomb. But yeah,
well, things like dirty bombs and anthrax, like, there's less of a judicious way to deploy them. I mean, if you could deploy them accurately and judiciously enough to where they only affected someone who represented a clear and present danger to your life, limb, or property, I mean, technically that would be allowable.
Okay, but I could then turn that argument around and I could say, well, actually, a fully automatic weapon is not as judicious as a semi-automatic weapon, because you might be spraying the bullets and you might hit someone that you didn't intend to. You can be more accurate with a semi-automatic weapon. So same reasoning applies. You're only allowed to own rifles now. So
bolt action.
Well, the thing of it is, if you're
bolt action
depending
only.
on your penetration and range, the fully automatic, and if you judiciously deploy it, like, you could technically kill more people with a semi-automatic rather than spray and pray, because you have to take pauses to aim. So technically, the semi-automatic is in a way more dangerous if you mean to kill multiple people, like a murderous psychopath.
Well, I think from a distance, single action or non-full, not semi-automatic, would probably be more effective, because actually studies have been done on this. Fully automatic weapons at range, people tend to be less accurate because they just keep pulling the trigger and they're not focusing on what they're aiming at. So you actually have to learn discipline.
Well, whereas if you're in a confined place like a building, then a fully automatic submachine gun actually is going to be very effective.
Very effective, but hey, maybe if we make a bolt action, it makes it more interesting. The mass shooters, they have to come out and they have to re-rack every time. It makes it a little more stressful, and then the people are they're scrambling. They have more time to scramble, and it really throws just some craziness in there.
Right. New law. This is how you fix school shootings. New law says if you're gonna do a school shooting, you have to do it with bolt action.
Very simple. And as a matter of fact, there was a shooting in Nova Scotia, I believe, just a few weeks ago, and media reported on it decently well. But they left out one very key part, and then that is imported. So they were not purchased legally in any way. They were purchased off the streets, and that is something that's left out oftentimes. And as a matter of fact, the majority of shootings, including public shootings, are committed with non-legally obtained weapons.
Wait, Nate, are you telling me, or sorry, Jesus, are you telling me that that the criminal that shooting people is usually not getting their guns legally? We need to put more laws around this. New law. If you're gonna illegally shoot up a place, you have to do it with a legal firearm. We have to make a new law.
Oh my God! Yeah, and you can't have magazines over 12 rounds. Okay, that's a big no-no.
Exactly. Well,
I'll tell you one thing.
If you're gonna get an Uzi and you're gonna shoot someone with it, it has to be a bolt action Uzi. Okay.
Bolt action Uzi. There we go.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing. Did you realize that technically chemical weapons are already legal right now? They're just not robust enough usually to kill humans.
Sometimes they kill, but yeah, most of the time, I don't know a ton about chemical weapons, but from what I do know, chemical attacks generally maim people and severely injure instead of kill. Sometimes they kill, but hey, maybe chemical weapons, maybe regular everyday. Oh, this is how we solve school shootings: we give teachers chemical weapons.
That's good.
I mean,
that's good.
If I were to buy a bottle of Clorox and a bottle of Windex, you see where this is going.
You should not mix bleach and ammonia. That creates.
You should never mix these chemicals because it's more dangerous to you than anyone else.
that creates chlorine gas, and that can be bad for you.
Yes, that can,
very bad for your health.
You.
Don't do it. Yeah,
don't do it.
Yeah, it's almost as though And if I were to hold you down and spray your face full of bug spray, I mean, it may or may not kill you, but you would not have a good time.
No.
So think about this though. If you deploy chemical weapons, it is more likely to maim and injure than to outright kill. However, you have now given your enemy a whole bunch of people who were previously able to fight who are now not able to fight, and also they have to be taken care of in hospitals, which will clog up their supply line. So from a logistics perspective of trying to win a war, maybe chemical weapons are actually more humane because it doesn't kill as many people, but it can clog up the enemy's supply lines enough that they just you win the war anyway. Like maybe we should reintroduce chemical warfare. A little bit of mustard gas.
Well, I don't even think it's really chemical warfare that people are thinking about anymore. It's definitely other means. There's been talks for a long time, decades actually, that China has been working on weapons of weather, like being able to direct hurricanes in certain directions, things like that. And one of my neighbors, 2 doors down, actually was in the Navy, and I believe this was in the 70s. He's pretty old now. He was telling me how when he was in training, and they were doing obviously training with rifles and such, but they would have these, and I kid you not, these satellites that they would aim at these drones, these manually operated drones, and you would fire it, and it wouldn't make a sound. It might make kind of a humming noise or whatever, and the drone would just poof and just disappear. And this was kind of hush hush technology at the time, but I'd imagine back then, if that was being tested with recruits or whatever, it must be pretty advanced now.
So laser satellites.
I don't know if they shot lasers. There weren't actually visible lasers. It was shot like a radio frequency, and it just would disappear. The drone would just go poof.
You could have.
Oh yeah, they have those. Those are like planes with like a nose on them. That's like an invisible, like high energy laser of a kind. It's not visible to the naked human eye, but it is a thing that the military has right now. It's not even classified.
These things were operated on the ground, from what he told me. He didn't fly any planes. He operated these things in training, shooting drones down. Crazy stuff.
Wait, in the 70s? In the 70s, they had laser satellites and drones? Man.
Yep. It might have been the 80s. It might have been the 80s. But yeah, he was telling me it was absolutely insane.
Well,
yeah, they put those lasers on planes recently. They're part of like nuclear countermeasures. It's like this really high altitude plane, usually a B-2 bomber or something, and the whole fuselage has to be filled up with batteries to power this thing. But all it needs to do is train that on like the body of a rocket, and it will blow the rocket out of the air with the heat.
Well,
I have no doubt.
The Navy has already rolled out a similar thing on their ships for a missile defense system. Because what the ships were doing previously is they would just kind of try to shoot bullets at an incoming missile and hope that it would hit the missile. But with a laser, you can do it much more precisely, and so they've rolled that out to a number of ships. We live in the future, boys.
We certainly do. We live in the future.
Now Jesus has a crappy signal.
Well, simultaneously.
Yeah, oh boy. Yeah, crappy signals all around.
Now you have to edit 2 people.
No, I'm going to leave this one in. That's all right. Yeah, so back to the original question. So I technically speaking, under the Second Amendment, if you were going to be absolutist about it, which I think maybe you kind of ought be, maybe. It seems like you can pretty much own any weapon. Back in the day, if you had a ship with cannons on it, then you have a warship. So
yeah,
civilians were allowed to own warships back in the day. Mm-hmm. I think that that means that at least by today's standards, at the very least, you should be able to own a tank, a fucking M1 Abrams tank.
Honestly, I just want those crazy satellite weapons. And when my neighbor is playing their annoying beatbox, I just want to, very carefully, tactfully, I want to take my laser satellite and point it at the beatbox and just poof, just exploded. And then they're like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. I want to turn off the Tupac. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? He was the aggressor first. He was the first person to violate the NAP because of his loud music. It's justified.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he's playing that noxious bullshit, and I'm just like, what? What is this? Ugh.
So, all right. There was the overall. I think that we're all somewhat happy with what came out of the Supreme Court in regards to the decision on concealed carry, striking down the New York law. I think overall that's a good thing. Of course, the Democrats are up in arms over this. They're extremely scared. They're shaking in their boots because, you know, here's the thing: when you allow legal or when you allow law-abiding citizens to arm themselves, then I guess that's dangerous for some reason.
Apparently.
I mean, you know, like, personally speaking, it seems as though if I was a criminal and I wanted to, I don't know, rob a store or something, and I knew that anyone around me could be concealed carrying, then I would be more hesitant to rob a store because I am attempting to rob an armed populace. And
yes.
Generally speaking, if you have the choice between robbing an armed populace versus an unarmed populace, you would rather rob the unarmed populace. It's less risky.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there have been multiple instances of areas where carjackings are prevalent and even regular. They're just a regular occurrence. People get their car stolen by them, by criminals. And there was one individual who was carrying a concealed weapon, and someone tried to steal their car, and they rolled down the window and went poof, and blew the person away. And carjackings just dropped like a stone. Of course, none of these things are ever reported in the media, but no, there's definitely a relationship between
individuals having guns and
individuals being crime
and crime going down. Yeah, absolutely. Well, all right. So, good news all around. Thank you, Supreme Court, for being based, and I think most of all, thank you, Clarence Thomas, for being based. As we get into the next and I think larger story. So Roe v. Wade is dead now. Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's almost like Morpheus bestowed upon him two pills, blue pill, red pill. Either you can preserve gun rights or you can abolish Roe v. Wade, and he just took both pills.
He said, "Fuck it, give me all the pills."
Whatever. And Morpheus was like, "Did you just take both pills?"
Oh, yeah.
So this is a monumental decision from the Supreme Court. So Roe v. Wade, it was passed back in the 70s, and its main justification was the 14th Amendment. That's the one that basically gives you a right to privacy. So even Ruth Bader Ginsburg came out and she said, "Yeah, guys, we're gonna need a fucking better justification for Roe v. Wade than the 14th Amendment. This shit isn't gonna stand for very long."
Yeah. Yes.
And of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the ultimate hero of the left, a progressive woman who got to the Supreme Court. But it turns out that actually the 14th Amendment is maybe not the best justification for doing whatever the fuck you want. For instance, let's say that I murdered my spouse. Well, as long as I did it in the privacy of my own home, I mean, come on, 14th Amendment applies, right? No,
yeah,
probably not. So, yeah, this was a big decision. It's going to have effects mostly on the red states, not on the blue states. So the gun thing will affect blue states. The Roe v. Wade will really only affect red states because basically what it says is that the federal government has really no right to step in on abortion because it's not a constitutional issue, and anything that is not highlighted in the Constitution is not under the purview of the federal government. That is a states' rights issue. And so it has been kicked back to the states where I believe it should be. And so
Yep.
now, you know what? If you want to get an abortion, go to California. Go to I don't know, New York. Go to Maine. Go to who has the most extreme laws? Colorado. You can go to Colorado and you can basically abort the damn thing. I mean, it could be about to be born, and I think that you can abort it there. So if you really need your abortion, just go to Colorado. But the red states will be able to say, no, we're not going to be doing abortion here, and I don't see anything wrong with this whatsoever. I think it's completely fine.
There are both extremes. Women, they have the option to either go to California or they can go to Mississippi or Alabama or whatever and just give their baby to a Catholic priest. Now, there's no telling what the Catholic priest is going to do with the baby, but that's
true. Yeah, there's a risk there.
They might wish they were dead by the time they get done with that.
No, in all seriousness, though, yeah, I mean, after there's a heartbeat, I don't really think an abortion should be performed, but I like the states that are going to take the position of, is it 15 weeks or beyond, you can't have an abortion. Anything before that is fine. I kind of like that middle ground right there. And the fact of the matter is 91% of all abortions are performed before 13 weeks. Now, the data is a little bit all over the place, but it's right around there. So this isn't going to affect too many people, with the exception of a handful of red states, which do have those trigger laws, which are like out abortion under any circumstances, unless it's rape, but not even incest. Some of the states, as far as I know, or you can't have an abortion even if it's incest.
Well, I think that in some of those states, incest is actually a primary mechanism by which they reproduce. So, of course.
Fair. That is.
That's of course that's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. I love
Fair
the red
enough.
states. I love the red states. I love West Virginia. I don't think that you guys are cousin fuckers, but that was a joke. Now, Breaker. I know that we've actually talked about this in the past. You actually are neither pro-life nor pro-choice. You're actually anti-life and anti-choice. You believe that the state should force people to get abortions against their will. Of course, this is a controversial opinion that you have, but what are your feelings about the Supreme Court ruling?
Yeah, I think you might be fucking with me a bit here, but in all seriousness, I think this is going to open the door to a lot more questioning of the concept of abortion itself now that Roe v. Wade has been trampled underfoot by the Supreme Court effectively. We'll have to see how this pans out in the future. But this kind of casts doubt on the whole enterprise of abortion itself when you think about it. Because, without that, in the First Amendment to the Constitution does guarantee the right to life. And technically, if DNA can be admitted as evidence, i.e., scrapings of goo and cells, and that is sufficient enough to establish identity of a specific person, up to and including the ability to convict that person of a capital offense and sentence them to death based on that evidence, I think your freaking genetic code at the most smallest and discrete levels proves that this came from a living human being, even if that living human being is not demonstratively present by any other means.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like the reasoning. Although that would mean that life would begin with conception. So actually, that would be the fuck you no abortion stance.
Yeah, I think that's where this, depending on how the country, the tides of politics turns over times, I think this particular decision can lead down all the way to that level, to where it's like, okay, First Amendment guarantees right to life. Life is established, can be established legally in court with no other evidence aside from someone's drool or pieces of their DNA.
Now, what if states left it to the voters? What if they had an election to decide whether or not abortion, the parameters of abortion and all that stuff? What if that's what states did?
Well, the thing of it is, because the Constitution, if it's that closely tied to the right to life, like I'm hypothesizing it might one day be, they shall create no law infringing upon it. That means that even if the states wanted abortion, they couldn't vote on it because, well, just like we were talking about the Second Amendment, like, you want all these states able to be like, no guns in this state ever, or do you want the Second Amendment to apply to all states?
Yeah, fair.
See, that would be... I don't know if that argument would ever reach the Supreme Court, but that would be a really interesting one, because that would actually kick abortion back up to the federal government, and it would mean that the federal government would have to enforce banning abortion in all 50 states. It would be a constitutional issue.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Breaker, you're breaking up a bit. Yeah, I think that would be a very interesting thing if it happened. But you know what? For now, I'm quite happy to have it be a state's issue. I think that it's very difficult to tell where the line is. Some people say it's at conception. Some people say it's when you start having a heartbeat. Some people say it's when it's born, and you can just basically you can just have a fucking cleaver, and just as long as the baby is only half out of the vagina and not completely out, you can just fucking kill it.
You just bludgeon it to death.
Yeah.
Or you have an incinerator from Portal and those Valve games when you take companion cube and
just drops directly into the incinerator. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's Mom, it was the latest you can have an abortion. We cut the umbilical cord, but we dropped it into the incinerator.
Yeah. I'm sure that I'm sure that Colorado will say, hey, you know what? Actually, it can be 5 minutes after the birth that you're allowed to abort it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that it can be a state's issue, because I've said this a number of times, and I'll say it again. When it comes to these difficult legal questions about how to run a civilization, what's the best way to run a civilization? You want to have 50 different states all doing 50 different things, running basically 50 different experiments all at the same time, and then we can figure out which, after a period of time, which states are actually having the best laws that are most amenable to building a good civilization that one would want to live in. And let's say that I don't know, Virginia or Texas, it turns out that their bill of having it just be based off of a heartbeat, maybe that is, for whatever reason, maybe it doesn't even make that much fucking sense, but maybe that's just the best way to deal with abortion, and then maybe other states can realize that, oh, that's a really good way to do it, and then they can adopt that. That's what we want. We don't want this to be under the purview of the federal government, where we only have one experiment running at a time, and it's just whatever the fucking thing that the Fed says. That's not good. We want to put as much powers in the hands of the states as possible. So, yeah.
Yes, as much power regarding to what is explicitly, or what is not outlined. Sorry, what is not specifically outlined in the Constitution.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, my particular stance is that I'm a little bit more conservative with where I think that maybe it would be a smart place to declare personhood. I think that it's within the first 2 weeks. So it's once either the blastocyst or the blastocele has implanted into the uterine wall. At that point, I'm willing to call that, okay, now that's a person. Before that, I would say that the rate of just basically a self-abortion occurring is it's 75% or something. Most conceptions that happen actually do not lead to a pregnancy, because humans are weird. So from my stance, I would say that yeah, like within the first 2 to 3 weeks, you should probably get an abortion, so that would allow for Plan B. But maybe
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit more conservative with it. You know what? Between the murder it as it's coming out of the birth canal versus the heartbeat thing, I'm gung ho on the heartbeat thing. I think that's a much better compromise.
Yes. Yep. And that's what I think most conservative states will end up doing. But hey, maybe I'll be wrong. But it certainly will be interesting to see how the country evolves over the coming years and decades. How much more conservative will the country become, particularly in regards to abortion? Very interesting.
Now we also saw, I guess, a lot of people guessing or saying that there was going to be violence occurring from the left, lots of riots as a result of the two big L's that they took this week.
That's the genius. That's the genius of the concealed carry ruling. I mean, right before these Roe v. Wade riots, it's genius.
Right? Yeah. They got the armed population in before the abortion one to make them more afraid of rioting. Yeah, actually pretty smart if you think about it.
Yep, very smart. Galaxy brain.
So my prediction was that, and I don't know if this is going to end up being true because I haven't seen how much violence will or has occurred or will occur this weekend. But and I think this we're recording Saturday, but this will go up Sunday. But I think that we won't see as much violence as has been predicted. I think that when the left takes this fat of an L, I think that they get really mopey and they just stay inside. And I guess, like, I don't know, cut themselves or whatever it is that they're doing nowadays. I think that they might actually not be inclined to get that violent.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I think eventually what the sadness will turn into is anger, and the anger into rage. And then that's when we'll see some violence.
Yeah. It will, I'm sure it's something that will build up over time. Now,
one thing I will say before we change topics, if I'm indeed alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think constitutionally, like under the American Constitution specifically, the way it defines life is that in the First Amendment, we believe that all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now, endowed by the creator, whether you're religious or not, whether it's evolution or God endowing the right, it's not a qualitative question, it's a quantitative question. Does a life exist? The qualitative question, it comes under the pursuit of happiness. Like whether or not this life is conscious or thinking or has a fully developed brain, that's the qualitative pursuit of happiness question. The quantitative question of does life exist is much more discrete, and I would argue that is at the moment of conception, genetically, biologically speaking.
Wait, I think, is it not the case that quote, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's actually from the Declaration of Independence? That's not the Constitution.
Well, that forms the First Amendment.
Okay, all right.
Interesting. He's done his research.
Yeah, and life is defined quantitatively in the Constitution. Like, does life exist or does it not? The quality of the life, whether or not the person's conscious, whether they're Tari Shiva, whether they're a retard, is a qualitative question that has to do with the pursuit of happiness language.
Wait.
I would argue.
But the First Amendment, and I'll quote it here, it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's the First Amendment. That doesn't say anything about life.
Well, fuck me. I'm an idiot. Moving on.
But the Declaration of Independence is important too. It just doesn't have any sort of legal standing.
Well, that's like the metaphysical instantiation of the actual laws themselves, though.
See, I agree with you. I think that actually we should turn the Declaration of Independence into a kind of its own like mini Bill of Rights or something, like an addendum. But yeah, I mean,
This is why you need to subscribe to Rekieta Law on YouTube and Odyssey, and he will define it because he's an actual lawyer that knows what he's talking about. Shoutouts to Rekieta Law.
and you should also subscribe to us while you're at it. You know, just for fun.
Does just about to say, definitely subscribe. Go down there, hit the red button. Promethean Tides.
I mean, while you're already searching up these channels, you might as well hit the like and subscribe button on the video you're watching right now before you go and check out Rekieta Law, since you're already in the search bar anyway. I mean, if you really want to, that is.
So, yeah, I guess I think that the timing of this is a little bit interesting because we are coming up to the midterms.
Yes.
So, how is it? How do you guys? I'll ask both of you. And I guess Jesus, you can take it first. Since you're the guest. What do you think is going to be the ramifications of this for the midterms?
Boy, oh boy. That's really hard to say. You could almost say it's on the flip of a coin, but I would say that I don't think it's going to affect the midterms nearly as much as some people are going to make it out to be. We're going to be told that, Democratic support is going to be way up because of Roe v. Wade. The fact of the matter is people have a very, very low attention span these days, a very short attention span these days. I think by the time the midterms come up, people are going to start remembering what's been going on over the past couple of years with inflation and gas prices and just everything. And that's what they're going to go to the polls for. I mean, I do think it could affect it a little bit. We could see higher Democratic turnout, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really tip the scales. And if anything, it might just be a total wash because you could see way more conservatives come out because they're emboldened and they feel empowered by this. And this is a really, really big ruling. So ultimately, I think we're still going to see a red wave. I think the left is they're really in trouble. It's not just inflation and all that. It's also censorship. I mean, the fact that their answer is a sign of intellectual bankruptcy. It's going to be bad for them either way. So, and I also think it's good that the right is not holding back their punches because for too long, the right has just been like, very, very easy steps and kind of prissy. I like that they're really.
Yeah, they're bringing it. They're fucking bringing it to the table.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, no, they're not holding back whatsoever, which I think is probably a really just something that we haven't seen from the conservatives in so fucking long. It's actually makes me just slightly hopeful, actually.
Yes.
So, Breaker, what do you think the effects of this might be for the midterm?
Okay, after June, after Pride Month, I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and turn monkeypox into beer bug 2.0 and try to get back the frickin' mail-in voting thing so they can fortify the election again.
Well, I mean, we got to have a strong democracy. How are we going to have a strong democracy without proper fortification?
Put up with that.
I know, right? I mean, it's vital that all of this freaking misinformation and conspiracies is extremely dangerous to our democracy. We are humans who care about democracy.
Please enter pod. Here is your allocation of bugs.
Oh, Lord.
So I think that
make sure to accrue additional meta credits.
Did you vote for Joe Biden? Your social credit score went up by 12 points. Nicely done.
Oh man.
No, I think so there is a decent chance that that most people just forget about this and they just carry on, with life as it was previously, because really this isn't going to change that many people's lives. I mean, the people who will be affected are people that are living in red states that really wanted to get an abortion. And I honestly, like, there are probably millions of those people, but does it in terms of like the entire country, it's really not affecting that many people, I don't think. So I think that it may not be that big of a deal. People might actually forget about it. And I also, I want to point this out. Here's the thing. If they do end up banning abortion in some of these states, I think that, really they should still keep it open for the trans men. I think that trans men should still be allowed to get abortions no matter what.
Yes,
I'm trans.
I agree. And as a matter of fact, saying that abortion is a women's issue it's not only transphobic, but it's gender essentialist, and it's homophobic. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really, trans women or whatever should be able to have abortion still.
Well, here's the thing. We here at the Promethean Tides podcast, we have no idea what a woman is. It's a question that has perplexed us for a long time now. But the only thing that we are certain of is that a trans woman is that. A trans woman is a woman. We don't know what it is, but it is what a trans woman is, most certainly. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess actually, if you think about it,
I can agree with that.
Let's say that you took a red state, and the red state went, okay, we're banning abortion, women are no longer allowed to get abortion. However, if you're a trans man, so that's someone who identifies as a man but has a vagina, then the state could say, okay, but you're allowed to get an abortion, right? Now, the left could take that one of two ways. Actually, that could be in general interpreted one of two ways. Either A, the red state is being oddly like nice to trans people and just giving them like this like weird right that like, regular women don't have. Or it could be that the red state is actually practicing eugenics and they're going, hey, you know what? If you're a trans man, then yeah, you should just abort your baby because we don't want more of your genetics. Like, it could be interpreted that way.
Oh man,
shit.
Well, with the history of Planned Parenthood, that wouldn't be too far fetched.
No, it wouldn't actually. Planned Parenthood has a colored history.
Colored is an understatement. Very checkered past.
I think there's a couple people in the audience that will get that reference.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get that initially. When you said colored, I thought, no, it's checkered. I see. Yeah, its history is overwhelmingly colored.
Yes, it does tend to be.
Yeah, it's almost like it's colored to the point of preventing those kind of people from reproducing or something.
Oh, we certainly wouldn't allege that here. Just an interesting pattern to note.
It's like conspiratorial. Pay no attention to that conspiracy theorist behind the curtain.
Oh man.
So here's the thing. Planned Parenthood, it has an incredibly progressive background. Its roots are firmly in progressivism, especially, let's say, like 1930s progressivism here in America. Of course, the 1930s progressives They were an interesting cast of characters. They believed in a little something called eugenics. And in fact, it seems as though the founder specifically did not like African Americans that much, and saw Planned Parenthood as a way to artificially control their population. And in fact, if my memory serves me, a lot of groups that have come into America, that have immigrated here, they've seen their population numbers go up. You can look at, like, I don't know, the Middle Easterns, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Koreans, the other groups from Europe, obviously Central and South Americans. A lot of groups that move to America will actually see their population percentage increase over time, whereas, weird thing about African Americans, their population has basically stayed, I believe, between like 11 and 13% for like more than 100 years, almost as though there were a thing in place that was preventing their population from growing substantially. I have no idea what that thing could be, but it's just an interesting little statistical fact there.
It is, and you mentioned the word eugenics. Is that like a health regimen or something?
Oh yeah.
You could say that.
It's for the health of the civilization.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like a supplement for society.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super healthy.
I gotcha.
For anyone that doesn't know, eugenics is where some bureaucrat in the government decides that they want more of this type of people and less of this other type of people, and so they enact policies to make that happen. If that sounds a little bit like 1940s Germany, it's because it is. That's what it is.
I'm sorry, General. You broke up.
Oh well, yeah, I might have broken up for you, but this is recorded on my end, so
Wonderful.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
well, I concur.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You didn't hear what I said, but you're like, yeah, I probably agree
with that.
Yeah. So, Planned Parenthood is actually, it has a history of being fucked, and I'm not certain why it is that the left can support it as much as they do. It seems to be kind of like a contradiction in their ideology, but then again, they live with the contradictions. They swim with the contradictions. It is part of them.
Yes, it is.
Well, good for them.
Okay, so yeah, there was that. That was the bit about the guns and the bit about the Roe v. Wade. Do you guys have anything else that you would like to add on to this?
Nothing I can think of.
I'm sure if you were to give me a time, I'd definitely come up with something, but right now, off the top of my head, no.
All right. Okay. Let me see here.
Usually during the second half of the show, after we do the news stuff, we come up with some random philosophical thing to prattle on about.
That's true, and we're at the 54-minute mark, so this is about this is the part where we all crack open an extra beer and just shoot the shit. So, all right. Here's a random thought I had. So Cursive, right? No one actually writes with it anymore, and it's impossible to read. I think that Cursive was how one particular rich dude
read, and it might even be racist.
Oh, it's certainly racist. What isn't racist?
Of course.
So I said I think that Cursive was how a particular rich dude sloppily wrote, and everyone decided that was the best way to write sloppily.
Man, that's a good idea. We should all start slopping our pens around on the paper.
Well, because here's the thing, right? Like, Sometimes I write really sloppily, and so it's like my own form of cursive, but it's not like that cursive, you know?
Yeah, you and I both. I'd say my handwriting 50% of the time is like indiscernible.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, you know what? Maybe everyone has their own cursive, and we shouldn't just have one single cursive that we all learn, you know? Because fuck that, you know?
Like, diversity is our strength, after all.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Diversity of sloppy handwriting that is indiscernible to 80% of the population.
Well, shit, now we've made it, like, non-racist, and now cursive has to be a thing because certain people can't fucking write. Thanks a lot, Gerald Chief. Fuck you. Now, not only is cursive non-racist, but it's so non-racist that it will now be required by the new regime. Thanks a lot.
No boy.
Yeah, we could have like red state and then certain people would read like Antifa cursive and be like,
Oh my god, that's exactly what we need.
"What is that?"
We need the Antifa cursive, and we need the Bible thumper cursive, and all the different types. The cursive of the Bible thumpers, they don't cross their T's because it looks too much like a cross, and that would be offensive.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, so here's another thing that I wrote down. So I think that you guys know mobile games like that, the fucking piece of shit that you have on your phone. Obviously not like.
You mean mobile games like Raid Shadow Legends?
Obviously, we're not talking about Raid Shadow Legends here because that's just the best game that exists. Obviously, we wouldn't shit on them ever. But
what about Ebony the King's Return?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, and they're all so good. So I wrote down mobile games do not seem to be the future.
Ebony the King's Return. I finally found the game.
Mobile games do not seem to be the future of
gaming. They don't seem to be the future of gaming.
Well, maybe. Well,
so I say this because okay, so you can look at the mobile gaming market and you can see
that's hard to say. Although, yeah, I don't know.
You can say that like most mobile games, especially like the free to play ones, are incredibly predatory. They kind of hook you in, and then they go, hey, are you enjoying the game? If you pay $5, you can get rid of this incredibly annoying aspect of the game or whatever.
Yes, yep. And if you paid $5 like 50 times over several years, then it'll really be good.
Oh yeah, definitely. So actually, this has been kind of in the gaming news recently because there's this new mobile game that Blizzard released called Diablo Immortal, and this is probably the worst instance of a pay-to-play game because essentially, if you wanted to fully upgrade your character, and that's just one character, you're looking at about $100,000, maybe a little bit more.
Well, if you were to ask me, I don't think many people are paying that, but I haven't even heard of this game, so you are eminently qualified to talk about it.
I haven't played it, but I have been hearing about it. So, the thing is that there are whales, right? So a whale is basically like, let's say that like 99 out of 100 people that download the free game, they spend less than $1 on it. However, 1 out of every 100 people is called a whale, and this is someone who just gets sucked into the game and they end up spending like $10,000 on it. And that is actually the market that these these free-to-play games are trying to access. It's the minority of whales that apparently have way too much of an addictive personality and way too much money that they can just spend on absolute bullshit. So anyway, my thinking is that, you know what, I don't think that it's necessarily the companies that are being predatory in this. I think that the the economic arena itself is what makes the companies have to behave in a predatory way, because that is the only way that they can actually be profitable in this economic landscape that exists on mobile. Now, I don't think that this is the future of gaming, because I think it's predatory, and I think that over time, people will just kind of more or less check out from it, because it appears to be something that is harmful. It's kind of like how from like evolutionary biology, if a meme is harmful, then it cannot persist because it harms the gene, and the gene is what creates the meme. So I think that for the most part, I think that maybe mobile games will die. Whereas if you look at the rest of video games, they keep being around, and they don't seem to be particularly harmful to the genome. So I think that, you know, gaming in general will persist, much like how you know, films have persisted. But mobile games, no, I think that might be kind of a bubble. I think that in like eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think eventually they at least the fucking trying to harpoon the whale aspect of it will have to go away. I don't think it's sustainable.
That, you know, and that makes a lot of sense. And I like your analogy with the evolution of biology that dovetails into that.
Breaker, what say you? I know that you love mobile games.
I think there's like an explicitly exploitative aspect to like the whale harpoon strategy of businesses. Basically, it's kind of heavily implying that we want people with impulse control and gambling addiction problems to play this game primarily. That's what we're explicitly looking for, to exploit ill people.
Well, you know, the most tragic thing is that the strategy of the mobile games has actually moved over to more traditional games. Like, I know that what is it, like the Star Wars Battlefront and the like, I don't know, the Fortnite or some shit. They all have like loot boxes.
Yeah, so EA has been terrible, and Fortnite's another one of those games that's just, yeah.
Well, and the worst thing is that a lot of these games are targeted towards kids, and loot boxes, it's a slot machine, and so you're getting the kids when they're young, when they don't even understand what gambling is, and you're introducing them to that. That seems like a bad idea.
It's genius. It's genius. Start them while they're young, you know, and hey, and then they learn the lessons earlier, right?
Right, yeah, no, sorry, it's not a bad idea. It's a fucking brilliant idea for profits. Yes.
Yeah, and then the children will evolve to understand that it's a scam. They totally won't be, you know, like, absolutely encompassed by this game, and it just consumes their whole life.
Oh, yeah,
they'll grow out of it.
It definitely won't start up a lifelong gambling addiction. Certainly not.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean,
do not give your children
capitalism.
Yes, definitely do not give your children tablets under the age of, like, God, I don't know, 10. I mean, what are your guys' take on this? If I were to have children, I definitely would not want my kids having a phone in their hand when they're super young.
I mean, if I personally were in a position where I would be having children, I would be living like the fucking Amish. My children wouldn't even know what sugar was until they were 18.
Yeah. I think that the internet is probably bad for a young mind, and I'm kind of happy that I like I did kind of grow up with the internet, but the internet was a lot shittier back when I was younger, and so it wasn't like as appealing as it is today.
Yes, yes, but it was so much better because we really got to understand the beginning of the internet, and we really got to see the first memes and just the first of everything. I mean, I remember as a kid getting on YouTube, and it was so exciting because it was so new, and it was like the Wild West, and people were just making random kind of weird memey videos, and it was just such a good time. Um, and it wasn't fast, it wasn't instant gratification like it is today. Everything loaded much, much slower, and you could only watch so many things in a short period of time. But it was absolutely amazing, and I feel bad for the younger generations today who just have what we have now.
Well, right, and now a lot of it's been corporatized, and I guess the big institutions have found they've basically solved they've solved the game, and they've found the best way to get like high click through rates and retain watch time and all this kind of stuff, and it's like a solved game at this point, and it's no longer nearly as cool as it used to be. Like, it used to be a lot edgier.
Yeah. It's not. Yep. But now it's almost like we are being controlled by our own creation, where before we were controlling that creation. So it's very sad.
Hey, I mean, if you can spend hours watching YouTube videos for free, then the videos are not the product, you are. So, but
yes,
but
your VPN right now.
Yeah. Get your Raid Shadow Legends VPN installed on your computer, 100%.
Don't forget to turn on your Fortnite and Star Wars Battlefront VPN today.
But I remember the first advice animal. It was the advice puppy or the advice dog, and it was just a picture of a dog, and it had like a rainbow thing around it, and it would just give you like really shit advice, like it was like did you know that you can fertilize your lawn with with used motor oil or whatever, and it was just really shit advice, but it was coming from a puppy, and so it made it funny. That was a long time ago, and I guess we're all a little bit old now, because the memes have evolved, and now I think a lot of memes, or at least some memes, like the highest grade of comedy is just like someone screaming. I think that's still pretty top tier for memes. Just a guy screaming.
Some guy just screaming. Makes me think of Eric Andre. Totally, just not a funny show. I'm sorry to anyone who is a fan. I just don't think it's funny.
Yeah, I never got into that one. Although, Breaker, you've watched some Adult Swim in your time, haven't you?
Adult Swim. Yeah, I remember the old. I was there when the original Adult Swim and Space goes coast to coast. I think before Adult Swim, they had like these vintage cartoon blocks, like black and white After Night type of things, that it was just really old cartoons that were like, the footage was really grainy because it was straight off the freaking film.
What's your what's your favorite show that has ever been on Adult Swim?
Like an Adult Swim specific show, it'd probably have to be Rick and Morty. Oh, Morty, we gotta get the fuck out of here, Morty. You just gotta do it, Morty. You just gotta do it. Oh, jeez, Rick, I don't know about this. Just trust me, Morty. Just do it. Just do it.
The thing that people have to realize is that actually Rick and Morty is a very high IQ show, and I forget the rest of the meme, but
so
I mean, if your IQ is too low, you got to get the fuck out.
See, speaking of low IQ, this whole time I thought when you said Adult Swim, you were talking about like when the kids aren't allowed in the pool, when only adults are allowed to swim.
Well, that would be the matter-of-fact description of that.
Okay, sorry. I want to say this, and this is very important for me to communicate to the entire audience. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. The humor is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical physics, most of the jokes will go over a typical viewer's head. There's also Rick's nihilistic outlook, which is deftly woven into his characterization. His personal philosophy draws heavily from Narodnaya Vola literature. For instance, the fans understand this stuff. They have the intellectual capacity to truly appreciate the depths of these jokes, to realize that they're not just funny, they say something deep about life. As a consequence, people who dislike Rick and Morty truly are idiots. Of course, they wouldn't appreciate, for instance, the humor in Rick's existential catchphrase, wubba-lubba-dub-dub, which itself is a cryptic reference to Turgenev's Russian epic Fathers and Sons. I'm smirking right now just imagining one of these addle-pated simpletons scratching their heads in confusion as Dan Harmon's genius wit unfolds itself on their television screens. What fools, how I pity them. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, God, yeah. I guess I forgot. I forgot how galaxy brain the people who watch Rick and Morty are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, canonically, Wubba Lubba Dub Dub in the actual show is actually bird person's bird language for "Please help me, I am hurting inside."
That's true. That is true. I've seen every episode myself. I mean, I don't think it's like the best show that's ever existed, but it is entertaining.
Speaking of a really good show, Peep Show. I don't know if either of you have seen that. Amazing.
I've seen a few episodes. Yeah, it's very British.
So good.
Very British humor.
Yes.
Very British, like so good of a card. You're acting like a bunch of.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know that reference, and you know what? To be fair, maybe they were acting like a bunch of krauts.
Unfortunately, he had a friend named Kraut and T. Academics, please respond. This is Kraut and T calling. We're trying to take down the alt-right with our lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Oh god, that was such. So I forget how many years ago this was, but for anyone that doesn't know, there was this YouTuber called Kraut and T, and of course he was a German guy, and of course
he still exists. He's still doing shit, believe it or not.
Okay, that's like saying that that Andy Worski is still doing shit. I mean, yeah, maybe, but they're not relevant.
By YouTube standards, I guess not.
But yeah, so I'll say it again. There was this German YouTuber called Kraut and T, and he caused a trash fire that lit up the right side of the internet for a bit, and it was very entertaining because what he did was he went after not just the alt-right, but specifically race realism, and I'm not going to stand here and say who is correct or who is wrong or more correct or less wrong or whatever, but he wasn't really prepared to take on race realism because like he thought it would go like he thought it would go better for him that he would just walk in and be like, haha, these people are immoral, I win. And it didn't happen like how he planned it because he's a German and that's what Germans do. So yeah, very, very entertaining period in the internet.
Very intriguing.
Yay.
But my favorite thing that ever came out on Adult Swim was not actually an Adult Swim original, but it was they used to air it. It was Fooly Cooly.
That was more like the Animu block.
Yeah, dude. That
never heard of that.
Fooly Cooly, I think, is probably one of the best animes ever made. I would say, like, number one, obviously, Cowboy Bebop. Phenomenal. And then I think number two, Fooly Cooly.
Fooly Cooly
I
is
guess
extremely
I'll need to check it out.
Yeah.
To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Fooly Cooly. The humor is extremely subtle.
Oh, well. Oh, yeah, I better be careful, though. I don't think that's made for me.
Unless you've read Deleuze and Guattari's A Thousand Plateaus, you will not get the reference of the iron flattening out the wrinkles of the brain so you can't think.
Exactly. Thank you, Breaker, for really understanding the nuance.
I really liked it when Adult Swim released Sam Hyde's show. I forgot what it was called.
Oh,
but,
$1 Million Stream.
Yeah, MDE. Yeah, MDE. After they took him down, I kind of abandoned Adult Swim. I don't know. It kind of pissed me off, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to watch this anymore. They really dig my boy Sam Hyde.
I mean, to be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Sam Hyde.
You really do. You really do. And but one question I keep asking myself is, how does he keep getting away with it?
I mean, here's the thing, how many school shootings has he been behind at this point?
God, dude,
So
too
many.
many to count. I mean,
So many.
let's see. What was the Sandus Hookley? You had Uval Diaz. God, that most recent one. There's tons.
Oh yeah, the Virginia Tech shooting back in the day. I think the original Columbine. You would think that they would just fucking arrest him already. What the fuck are the police doing?
How does he keep getting away with it? That meme is so funny. Oh my god. There was a Muslim attack. This was years back by some Islamic extremist, and a meme came out, and it was like, the attacker has been identified as Samuel Haid. Oh man. Anyways, yeah, that kind of turned me away decently from Adult Swim. And also Tim and Eric, they're like apparently really big on the board of Adult Swim and controlling it. And Tim and Eric, they're not bad, but I don't know, there's too much politics with it.
So another thing that I happened to write down was that I think that I was listening to the Timcast. It was the Friday Timcast, and they had on the guy called himself a pro-life libertarian. I think his name was Austin Peterson. So I guess, but he was an agnostic. Like, he wasn't a Christian. So he's a pro-life atheist libertarian. And I was trying to think about like the internal logical structure that would allow that to be possible. And I couldn't.
Abortion violates the NAP.
Well, I mean, actually, maybe. Yeah. I guess I could
how
see
is
that.
the blastocyst trying to harm you?
Well, no, it's trying to harm the mother by sucking up her like energy and minerals and vitamins and stuff.
Okay, well, if you define like reproduction as an act of aggression, then we all go extinct.
Well, yeah, I mean, no one said that it had to make sense, because I think a lot of the NAP doesn't make any sense to begin with. But theoretically, a woman could get pregnant, but here's the thing: she only ever consented to sex. She did not consent to the baby. So technically speaking, the baby is the aggressor, because it latches on and it fucking sucks all of the nutrients out of her so it can grow. And the mother never has a say in any of this. The fetus never asks the mom, "Hey mom, can I take a whole bunch of your calories for the next 9 months. The fetus never asked. It did so forcibly. Ergo, actually, abortion is the correct response via the NAP. There you go.
Okay, well, if the mother made an informed, consensual decision to reproduce in the first place, knowing that's the consequence, then technically that's a type of natural law contract.
No, because the mother
Yeah.
took birth control and also had her mate wear a condom, but unfortunately the condom broke and the sperm got through, and so she did everything in her power to not get pregnant, and then she did not consent.
Yeah, it's an assault baby.
Yeah, it's an assault baby.
Assault baby.
Ban assault
babies.
No, for real though. With this whole Roe v. Wade decision on Dobbs v. Jackson, the liberals need to calm down. No one is coming for your abortions. We just want common sense abortion control. Mandatory background checks, complete with mental health evaluation, must be placed in the National Abortion Registry. $200 tax stamp and a 1-year wait period. Outlaw assault abortions after the first trimester and limit the number you can have. No one needs more than one abortion.
And a 1-year wait period.
Exactly. That's like the $100,000 gun permit.
Actually, you know what? I think all conservatives will be able to agree to abortion across the board if there's a 1-year wait period.
Well, there you go. Because technically at that point it would be just murder anyway.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man.
And put the tax stamp on the bitch's forehead so that everyone knows.
Actually,
yeah, I saw
Breaker. I think that in a previous episode, you alluded to something very similar. You wanted.
Yeah, actually, I did. Unironically, like the National Abortion Registry, I actually did advocate for that. Yes.
Yeah, there has to be background checks too. How many have you had?
Yeah. So that like any potential mate she has in the future can look over her registry of abortions and be like, "Hey, you've aborted like 10 babies. I don't know if I want to even try to reproduce with you. Fuck off."
Yeah, you're reaching your limit. You're reaching your limit of high capacity babies. I don't know.
Jesus.
Okay, here's a compromise. After the 10th abortion, she gets like a Subway gift card.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a prize, It's like collecting enough cigarette packs, so you get that free prize or something. You get enough abortions, and you get to go to Subway, and maybe the one who survived gets to get, he gets to meet Jerry Fogel of Subway or something. I don't know.
No, I think that you want to.
Wait a minute! No! That's not a good idea!
But no,
I'm sorry.
no. The kids aren't going to exist anyway. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there was a YouTube video of like some guy like asking lefty protesters about kind of like a man on the street interview, but with lefties who are currently protesting. And they were shouting, my body, my choice, my body, my choice. And the guy goes, hey, you know what? I totally agree with you. Yeah, 100%, my body, my choice. So, in an unrelated issue, what was your perspective on the COVID vaccine mandates? And they went, oh, I don't want to talk about that.
Yep. Typically the side who does not want to engage in a conversation is the one who's wrong. So,
my body, my choice, but only if it's a baby. If it's the government forcing you to get a vaccine, then it's government's body, government's choice.
You see, the difference is with vaccine mandates, this is government mandating you have to have a medical procedure done. Not allowing abortion is not forcing anyone to have a medical procedure done. Now, some people on the left will say, oh, well, it's forcing birth. No, That's not what it's doing, but it's saying you are not allowed to have this specific medical procedure, before or after a certain point, depending on the state. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, there's many, many, many ways that you can do contraception without contraception via abortion. So, whatever.
Yep. Yep. And interestingly enough, Planned Parenthood, they don't give women enough birth control. They should give women more birth control. They perform far too many abortions, in my opinion. And, personally, I think that's probably because of the industry of, fetal cells, scientific research. And I'm not opposed to scientific research. I don't know if we should be obtaining these cells through abortions. Yeah.
That's actually something that I don't know about. I was unaware that we were getting cells through abortions. I mean, I guess it is a good source of them.
Yeah, it's a very good source of fetal cells for stem cells and for various other regenerative research and stuff like that. So it's actually a massive industry. General, you should really look into it because I know that's definitely well within your wheelhouse, so to speak.
Well, but then again, how is it that we're going to make Bill Gates and Joe Biden live forever if we don't inject them with baby cells? I mean, come on. Like, we have to be humane here. What about George Soros? We need him to live forever.
So long, please. Yeah, I hope he lives 1,000 years.
Which is about how long Joe Biden has been alive.
Yeah, it seems like it. I love the little cheats. I love the little cheat sheets they give him, and he actually showed one to the press, I believe, about a week ago that said, you walk up and you give an introduction, you do this and you do that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. What the fuck?
Oh, man, so bad.
Can you imagine anyone trying to give Trump that card? He would have fucking thrown it back in their face and said, I do what I want.
Well, the media would be absolutely bombasting him. The media would just kill him if he was given cards like that. Like, he's like a little baby.
Look like how much of a bumbling fool Trump is. But when it's Biden, it's like, I'm perfectly fine with this.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Biden's very elderly. He needs a little bit of extra help, Like, he's a very elderly man, He needs a little bit of extra help on the cue card. These press conferences and public appearances by the president, they're very complex events that there's a lot of moving parts, and it helps to have, crib notes to know exactly what to do and where to stand, because the Secret Service is constantly trying to protect you.
That's true. That's just facts. I've gone over this in a previous show, and I have my opinion here, and Breaker knows my opinion, but Jesus. Two questions. First one, DeSantis versus Trump. Who would you prefer would get in 2024?
Oof, this is a really hard question. I so badly I want to say Trump, just because I want to own the libs. I want to own them so bad. At the same time, though, I think he's getting too old. If I had to vote today in the primary, I think I might vote DeSantis. I think it's going to be very good for the Republican Party having someone who's younger in the White House. It's going to be incredibly refreshing. He would be the youngest president in a very, very long time. I think DeSantis, but that's tough. That's tough, because you've raised interesting questions before about his loyalty to the establishment. Is he anti-establishment enough? And I don't know, but I probably still would pick DeSantis. How about you?
So I think my perspective here is that my golden ticket, my favorite thing would be if you had Trump DeSantis being the vice president for the 2024, and then DeSantis and then DeSantis goes on to run and win in 2028 and 2032, and he does a full 8 years after that.
Too fiery. I think if Trump picks someone, I think he should probably pick someone more like Glenn Youngkin. And interestingly enough, I've actually heard mumblings that Trump is talking with Glenn Youngkin about possibly being a VP. I think he needs someone to contrast him. And DeSantis and Trump are both fairly fiery. So I think it might be best if he actually picks someone, Trump being, if he picks someone who's just a little bit more reserved, a little bit more conservative in that sense. And Glenn Youngkin, someone like Glenn Youngkin, I think would be a very good pick.
That's
Yeah.
that's Youngkin, the current governor of Virginia, correct?
Current governor of Virginia is doing a great job, by the way. But he also could pick. I think if he picks a female person of color or a person of color in general, an actual person of color, not like a Kamala Harris, like someone who's actually a person of color. I think that would be good too, but again, it would be best if it was someone who kind of contrasted him just a little bit, not too much. Doesn't need to be too much of a contrast, but just a good bit.
I'll tell you what, if he this would never happen, but if he actually got Tulsi Gabbard in to be his running mate, I think that would be a blowout.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, I think would be a great pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he's thought about it. Candace Owens, I think, be great, but she's a little bit too fiery and she doesn't have political experience, so it's really hard. But the field is kind of tight. There's not really a lot of people to pick from, and if you take DeSantis, well, then you're losing him from Florida. You can't really take Glenn Youngkin either. He just got elected in Virginia. It's really tough. There's not that many people. I mean, who else? Rand Paul. That's
my
potential.
God, dude, Rand Paul as VP with Trump. Yeah, I would take that ticket. Fuck yeah.
He's so fiery though. What about Rand Paul as the president?
Okay, what about this? What if conservatives stop giving a shit about being too fiery? Like, for instance, what came out of the Supreme Court this week was quite fiery. It was muy caliente. But you know what? Maybe that's the kind of shit that we need. Fuck. You know what? The conservatives keep trying to appeal to the left. They're like, hey, like, we'll try to be like more moderate, so like maybe we can get like fucking one vote from you guys. No, fuck these people. We don't give a shit about these people. That's my position, and I wanna say this. In my perspective, I think that Trump did a phenomenal job when we were not in a pandemic, and I think that DeSantis did a phenomenal job when we were in a pandemic. And actually, Trump kind of shat the bed during the pandemic. He did not do a good job. But all I'm saying is that, assuming that we're not going to be in a pandemic in 2024, I think that actually Trump is probably the better option. Now, I'll tell you what, if monkeypox happens and fucking everyone gets it, in that case, I think DeSantis is the better pick because he has proven himself to be really good at pandemics because of the way that he governed Florida during COVID.
But just aside from that, because that's probably not going to happen, who would you pick, Trump or DeSantis? No pandemics. It's just 2024, and
Trump.
It is what it is.
I think
Trump.
I think I have to pick Trump because not only did he show himself to be able to stand up on the international stage to like China, which is our largest adversary. He was able to effectively control migration, illegal immigration. Obviously, he didn't get it down to zero. Obviously, he didn't finish building his wall. But because he was able to curtail immigration, I think that was actually a major reason why it is that so many working class Americans saw an increase in their wages. In fact, one of the groups that benefited the most from Trump-era policies was poor African Americans because they faced less competition from migrants coming into the country.
Yes. Highest labor force participation in recorded history among African Americans under Trump.
And I think that Trump has more fire than DeSantis does when it comes to just really hating the shit out of the establishment in DC. I think that you give Trump another chance, he's gonna there's fire. There's gonna be a lot of fire, and it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yeah, you see, I get it. I get both sides, but I think he's so controversial, and I know this argument has been made before, and ultimately, being controversial is just having an R after your name. So it doesn't matter if it's Trump, DeSantis, or Glenn Youngkin, or Rand Paul, or any other Republican for that matter. It's going to be controversial. But Trump in particular really gets people riled up, and that's because the media just can't get enough of him. Now that might be a good thing for Trump. It might be a good strategic point, and to the Democrats' detriment. But I don't know.
Now, Breaker, which one do you choose? If you had to choose, you have to choose one. You can't vote for what's his name? The guy that wears the hat.
Oh yeah,
Che Guevara.
No, the other hat.
Yeah, the Supreme guy. You can't vote for the for the Supreme guy. If you have to choose, you have to tell me your preference. Which one would you rather, DeSantis or Trump?
Well, I still don't have to pick either because presumably Joe Biden's right again. I'm just voting for Biden. Fuck it. I'm voting for the funniest pick.
Oh dear God! Oh come on, Breaker. Like Biden is funny in. Okay, here's the difference. Trump is like a comedian, right? You laugh with him. Biden is like the Three Stooges. You laugh at him. But also you drive a truck, Breaker. Do you really want gas prices to continue to be this high?
I don't pay for it. It's a company truck, so double fuck it.
All right, full-blown nihilism. Let's go.
Come on, Breaker. You have to pick one.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Republicans anymore. I've had enough of all this crap. Fuck this. Burn it down as fast as possible. Fuck it all. I don't care.
Oh, I see. Breaker, you're an accelerationist. What you're saying is that you actually want to elect the worst possible leaders. You want to give Biden a second chance, and then after that, you want to have 8 years of Hillary Clinton and just fucking run it until the entire thing burns down, and then that will accelerate us towards the revolution of whatever it is that you actually want.
Pretty much.
All right.
Oh, tough decision. Tough decision.
I mean, I'm probably never voting again, in all honesty, because democracy is bullshit, and I've stopped caring.
Man, full-blown nihilism. You are black-pilled.
I don't believe in democracy anyway, so why would I give a shit?
Okay. What system would you prefer over democracy? Or actually, we don't even live really in a democratic system. We live in a constitutional republic with some democratic features for representation. But other than what is the better system?
Most realistically, probably what is most realistic to actually happen is a full-blast military dictatorship after the country collapses.
Okay, you're saying that's more realistic, but is that what you prefer?
What I prefer is something like so vastly unrealistic that I don't really give it much thought, honestly.
Well, what is that?
Like, there is no fucking monarchies anymore. That's never going to exist again. The only way something like a monarchy would ever exist again is after the military dictatorship, and whoever's the biggest swinging dick just makes their son the next in line, and it just goes from there. That's how a monarchy organically arises.
That's true. Okay, all right. So, basically, allow the system to collapse through accelerationism. Institute some sort of authoritarian, military-led government. Whoever is the top dog, the chief general or whatever, starts a dynasty, and they just keep electing the progeny of that. You have a monarchistic lineage that runs the country. and basically North Korea.
Well, the only thing keeping North Korea alive is it's basically a vassal communist laboratory for China. If it wasn't for China supporting it, it wouldn't still exist. They would all just starve to death.
I mean, more than they already are, yeah.
Yeah, even more so than they already are. I think North Korea only exists as like how bad can we make communism laboratory for China? That's the only reason it's still there.
I mean, to be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Kim Jong-un.
Well, Kim Jong-un is basically a god, so I think you're getting a little too big for your britches there, thinking that you could ever understand such an exalted figure such as he.
That's true. You know what? That is true. It's a god. My feeble human mind cannot even try to comprehend the glory.
Yeah. He doesn't even poop.
Of course. Exactly. He is the supreme being.
So, Jesus, you kind of believe in some semblance of a god, right?
Yeah, I have my moments. Yeah, I do believe in a higher power. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm Christian by proxy, and I wasn't really raised Christian, but I pray. I try to pray just because it's good. I try to wake up in the morning and just say a prayer and thank the universe or God for all my blessings and my good fortune and whatnot. Just because a little bit of gratitude I think goes a long way. But I don't know if it's whimsical beings in the sky, multi-dimensional beings, or if we are an experiment by some other extraterrestrial creatures in our universe, or if we're in a simulation. But ultimately, yes, I do believe that there is some force much greater than us. And I also think that creationism and evolution will intersect at some point.
So, yeah, I think I believe that there are entities that exist that are far more powerful and far smarter than mankind, and it's not actually within our purview to fully understand these entities. So, and an example of one of these entities would be nature itself, right? I've been saying this for a while, but nature itself is it's a very old, seemingly very wise entity that is smarter than humans because, fucking A, number one, it created us, and then number two, it can evolve bacteria faster than we can actually engineer ways to kill them. And it also, we are under its thumb because we are DNA-based creatures that are operating within Darwinian natural selection. It is effectively impossible for us to escape nature. And so, in many ways, this is basically a god. Even though I've said nothing mystical about this, there's no supernatural force here at all. But still, effectively, by all definitions, it's effectively a god.
The Earth is our god. Is that essentially what you're saying?
More like the broad search algorithm that is DNA. That is what life is, essentially. The Earth is a rock. The overarching mechanism by which nature does its thing is God. Yeah, pretty much. Or it's a god. It's a god. There could be other gods.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting perspective. I'm actually listening to a very interesting book right now called Slave Species of the Gods, and it's about the Anunnaki and the Sumerians, and that was the epicenter of the extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth and essentially enslaved us to mine gold. And it's all interesting stuff. I mean, I'm taking it all with a grain of salt, but it is intriguing to listen to. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. I wouldn't be surprised if there is like an actual Judeo-Christian, whimsical God, if we were created by other alien species in the universe, if we're in a simulation. I'm not going to be surprised by anything. It's just whatever the result is. That's what it is. It could be anything.
I like the idea of the gold mining aliens. That actually sounds pretty chill.
Well,
they were like, shit, fuck, our currency has collapsed. All right, we need to get gold. Who has gold? Earth has some gold. All right, let's go there.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty interesting because the writer essentially ties in, well, if you really think about it, what is most deep-rooted in human history? Slavery and gold. Nothing goes back farther in human history than those two things.
Yeah,
and
prostitution.
That's
probably prostitution.
I mean, maybe rape. I don't know about prostitution. Prostitution is I'm sure so. Yeah, but
chimpanzees engage in prostitution.
Really, I did not know this. This is all novel to me.
Yeah, they actually did a primatology experiment with chimpanzees, and they gave chimpanzees like these freaking coins that would operate a banana vending machine, and they gave all the chimpanzees, males and females, an equal number of coins, but all the males did was they gave all their coins to the females to fuck.
One fuck for one banana. You know what? That's a pretty good going price.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could we maybe bring that to our society?
Yeah, we should have a banana-based economy.
They are pretty good, even if you freeze them and you blend them up with some milk on your porridge.
Bananas are nature's candy bars.
Nature's candy. Yeah, hey, indeed they are. Nature's currency.
Yeah, I think that although it is possible that aliens have come to Earth, and it is possible that some of the weird UFO shit that we've seen in the last couple of years, that it could be aliens. I mean, shit, like it could be that actually it's the zoo hypothesis, right? That basically there's aliens everywhere, but they're not showing themselves to us or keeping themselves hidden because they want to, keep us just contained in our little exhibit, and we're just here to be like a zoo. That's possible, but it seems to me like unless we're living in a zoo and they're specifically intentionally hiding from us, it's weird that we haven't seen any evidence for life out there. And this has to do with the Fermi paradox, but it just.
Well, but how would we be able to discern life if we're not even out in the universe? I mean, our telescopes, although we're able to see many things, I think us humans are taking the cart before the horse here, saying, well, there's no sign of life. I don't think we've been looking for long enough to discern that.
Well, okay, but you would, in theory, it's hypothesized that at the very least humans might start constructing a Dyson swarm. Maybe
no, because cold fusion is going to be developed way before anyone can do a Dyson sphere.
I think that cold fusion might actually be one of those things that just it never ends up being a thing, because
I disagree. I don't see There's just no way.
Okay.
There's just no way. I mean, I don't see it. But at the same point, you make a good point, because scientists are always just 10 years away from that breakthrough discovery when we're able to solve cold fusion or solve diabetes or solve asthma or whatever it is. Oh, it's just a few years away, right around the corner. It never comes.
Well, I would say that at this point, we're much closer to regular hot fusion than we are to cold fusion. I think that the cold fusion was kind of like, it was an idea that someone had, and it hasn't really turned out. I think that we're actually with the tokamak reactors. I think that we're getting actually a lot closer to being able to have sustainable fusion power. However, even that, I believe, requires, I think, both tritium and deuterium, and so it's not like you could just put seawater into the reactor and just have infinite energy. Like, you have to isolate these isotopes of hydrogen and put them into the reactor, and so basically, I think that at the end of the day, you might actually have to end up building a Dyson swarm anyway, because eventually we'll run out of deuterium and tritium here on Earth. So eventually you end up building a Dyson swarm. Now, maybe a Dyson sphere is like, maybe that's way too fucking extreme. Maybe you just go with a swarm or a bubble or whatever. But the point is that we don't see any evidence of Dyson spheres, Dyson swarms, Dyson bubbles, or any sort of Dysons, except for, Dyson vacuums that a lot of people have. But out there in the cosmos...
Those are everywhere.
Yeah, actually, my girlfriend has one. But...
out there in the cosmos, Dyson vacuums are everywhere.
Oh, yeah. They're a main unit of trade. But, we don't see any evidence of Dyson anything out there when it comes to stars, so...
But I think it would be far too much of a coincidence. It just doesn't make sense that all religious texts, everything regarding the origins of religion, like, it all points to beings in the skies. I don't think we were just hallucinating. I just don't. Honestly, I really don't. I think all religions are based on potentially extraterrestrial beings from this universe, other dimensions, whatever it may be, from this Earth, hiding, in the oceans. Who knows? Interfering. I really do believe that there's a very good chance that creationism and evolution will intersect at some point, and that'll be a very hard thing to reckon with.
Well, yeah, it's possible that something created like the RNA originally. I mean, that's possible. It seems as though since the advent of RNA, it's been an entirely naturalistic process that has brought us here.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt, but at the same time, it's just it's just all too crazy. Why would people write for thousands of years about beings coming down from the skies?
Because they were tripping on fucking mushrooms, bro. They were doing DMT and they were experiencing clockwork elves and shit like that. Fuck yeah.
No, there's some type of meddling. That's my opinion. Who knows though? Who knows?
You know how like here in America, Godzilla is Godzilla, but in Japan it's pronounced Gozira.
Gozira.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Here in America, we say aliens, but in Japan they would say Aryans.
Aryans. No. So,
yeah, it's actually
not us.
It's the Germans, actually, Nathan. Sorry, Jesus. It's the Germans that we're trying to invade this entire time. It's always been the fucking Germans.
No, yeah, actually Hitler won the war.
No, actually, here's the thing. Hitler has been around for the past million years. He's actually a lizard person, and
Yeah.
he only sprung up during World War II to make sure that the Aryans would finally win.
Yes. Oh my God, crazy. It's such an interesting conversation. Breaker, what's your opinion? What do you take of all of it?
Okay, as far as like, well, I have a few things that kind of like weirdly intersect with ancient aliens hypothesis, but okay. For the most pragmatic explanation of where you mentioned like beings in the sky and all ancient religions and metaphysical systems seem to point to some being in the sky, I think that can also be very rationally explained through a type of existential dread of darkness. Like looking up at the night sky and seeing emergent complexity and pattern in star constellations, while at the same time it being the sum of all fears, which is the great unknown unknown. Like what is it exactly is up there? And both of those two things intersecting create such a response of pure existential dread in the human that that's where religious awe originally comes from. You could hypothesize. So the humans put beings in the sky, not the other way around.
Very Lovecraftian, actually.
I, yeah, I've heard this before, but that still doesn't explain like craft coming down from the sky, making contact with people. Um, uh, I do understand what you're saying, though.
We'll also consider the cosmological framework is very different from the modern sensibility. Now, you're kind of projecting in this anachronistic way your modern sensibility of, you know, that crafts that fly that contain people exist, so you're kind of projecting that on the past. The cosmology of the ancient people would have been very different from your modernist cosmology. Like, there's cosmology like seeing things in crafts, like I think you're referring to like those Egyptian murals and some Mayan stuff where there's like this person inside of some type of sphere flying through the sky with a helmet on, like those types of imagery.
Yes. Yep.
I think what
Yep.
that's more referring to, yeah, it's not so much referring to as like a helicopter or a spacecraft or some type of flying machine as it's referring to the most sacred of tabernacles and the most highest and exalted of temples that creature inhabits, because these ancient people would have thought of these sky and star and planetary entities as existing in a type of celestial temple, which when
Yes.
they draw this out and you see it like thousands of years later, now that you have a concept in your mind of what a flying machine is, you look at that and you say, oh, that's something flying in a spaceship, where actually it's a flying grand universal temple.
I I get what you're saying. Essentially, worship the sky, derive things from it that may not necessarily be there. You have celestial events happening, comets coming through, whatever it may be, and they're making extrapolations from it, and just crazy hallucination of hairless apes who are just trying to understand where the hell they came from. Yeah, I mean that makes sense too. That makes sense too.
Oddly enough,
And I get that. I'm
think,
sure. I'm sure that there's definitely is some of that, no doubt. But how much is it? All of it? I don't know.
oddly enough, I think that some of that might be the origin of lefty philosophy. Just
How
yeah,
so?
just we're all hairless apes. Look up at the sky. Try to look for shit that may not be there. All right, yeah, whatever. Abort the kids. Let's go.
Well, in the lefty philosophy, like the individual is the seat of divine eminence in like the Hegelian dialectical view. Ideology, like you are the seat of the pure ideology that will transcend humanity, not the other way around, because the cosmology is inverted in the leftist grand cosmological schema.
Well, right, because according to lefty philosophy, and this is like, I think this is like genuinely like this is a necessary aspect of their beliefs. Essentially, mankind is the highest form of being, and we are supreme, and
Yes.
there's nothing smarter than us, and we eventually will know everything, which is retarded. But, you know, whatever.
And not merely that humans transcend or are some exalted creature above nature, it's that the ideal human is transcendent and above nature, not necessarily any individual instance. So when they speak of humanity, it's in a very collectivistic sense. It's not any individual is an exalted godlike being. It's that the idealized humanity itself at some future Hegelian zenith will be a perfect coalition of pure social man, and the very concept of individuality will be no more.
Once we have finished science, yes.
They're going to complete German.
And science be finished?
Well, no, but I think that in lefty philosophy, it's like, yes, you can complete science, and then we will become more powerful than nature.
It's not science, by the way. Science is just a means to an end. They're not talking about completing science. They're talking about completing German idealism. They're talking about
Right.
ratifying the
Yeah.
ideology. And science is just a means to an end at this particular juncture in history, which may or may, well, when it's irrelevant, like when they're trying to push the trans ideology, science goes right out the window, in case you haven't fucking noticed.
Well, science is essentially like today's coping mechanism for our existence. I mean, previously the coping mechanism was religion. Today it's science.
Well, I want to say this. So, let's say that physics was able to unite Einsteinian relativity with quantum mechanics, and we finally got ourselves a grand unified theory. And let's say that using this grand unified theory gave us much greater insights about the how the universe works, how light works, how black holes work, the origins of the universe, all that kind of stuff. That would still actually not help us in understanding most things, because most things that you interact with on a daily basis are complex, and they have emergent properties. And the grand unified theory actually does not help you understand complexity at all. And most of the great mysteries in science, not all of them, but I believe that most of the great mysteries in science, especially anything that is above, let's say, chemistry, is functionally a problem with understanding complex systems. So, yeah. It's one of those things where it seems unlikely that science will ever bring us to a point where we are godlike and we know all. It seems effectively impossible. Unless you're a German, in which case you can just engineer your way to the best possible outcome.
Well, yeah, like the idealism that in German idealism is not necessarily scientific or purely rationalistic in its articulation. Like you're kind of imposing a scientismic framework onto the ideology that doesn't entirely comport with it in the first place. Now, from a scientist perspective, that would make more sense, like what you're talking about, where how science cannot be completed because it is just a means of interrogating reality, and mankind will never have totalizing knowledge of reality itself. That would make more sense from a scientific framework, but in the ideological framework of epic German idealism, the totality of the universal cosmic human experience is actualized. Inevitably.
Yeah, once again, man, German's kind of cray.
In more ways than one, you could argue.
But bunch of.
But that could be like a whole fucking show unto itself talking about that.
You know what? Maybe we should do a show dedicated to German insanity. You know, I think that's been a long time coming.
You gotta dig up a lot of references for that because it's fucking deep.
Yeah, it is. It is, I guess, a little bit difficult to try to shit on like an entire group of people and thousands of years of history, but I don't know. It's the Germans. If you're gonna do that towards any group, I think they must be the easiest.
Question mark, question mark, question mark. So many Germans to shit on so little time.
Well, all right. Is there anything else that you guys would like to discuss? And whatever.
Well, we did not get into cryptocurrencies.
Oh fuck! Oh, we didn't.
Crypto!
Yes, we agreed that we would talk a little bit about crypto. That's true. Sorry.
Yay, go crypto dudes, go.
All right. So,
Yes.
this is not financial advice, but basically, take all of your savings, everyone, and just put it directly into Dogecoin.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Not financial advice.
That is definitely the solution to all of the ills in your life. Just go ahead, do it. Everything down the hole.
Don't take random financial advice from internet random people. You will go bankrupt. No.
Definitely so. Yeah, I mean, cryptocurrency crash. Not that surprised, but I definitely was not expecting things to get as low as they did. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was not expecting Bitcoin to dip below 20,000. I was not expecting Ethereum to go below 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has in the last few days it's been trending up. I think that it might be seeing a bounce back because I think that the correction was actually too hard. And so it's bouncing back now. I continue to believe that actually crypto is depending on exactly what you're investing in, not just any crypto, but I think that certain cryptos continue to be a sound investment, and in fact, from my perspective, not financial advice, this might be a good buy opportunity right now as we speak.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. However, I could see things sliding a bit lower, but how much lower, I don't know. But I think that we're closer to the bottom than we are to the top. Let's just say that. But you know what's caused this whole Terra Luna debacle? General, I don't know if or in Breaker, I don't know if you've kind of looked into this at all, but seems like it was kind of just a big scam, and a lot of it has to do with their pegged Tether coin, which essentially just pegs the dollar, and when that broke, it just screwed Terra Luna and a few other cryptocurrencies. Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, there was a number of bullshit cryptos. The other one was the Sia
Solana.
coin. Well, maybe that, but the fucking Sia coin, where literally, if you divest, like you lose some of your investment, and so it encourages people to just continuously invest. That's literally a fucking pyramid scheme.
I don't think that was Sia coin. I think that was the other one that was very prevalent when Dogecoin was at parabolic levels. SafeMoon.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was SafeMoon. Yeah, sorry.
SafeMoon.
Yeah, that was
that cryptocurrency was just like, it looked cool at first. It was like, man, this could really be a thing. But then you really look into it, and you're like, I don't know about this. Sia coin is actually in a very interesting crypto that maybe it might be worth picking up in the long term, but it is like just outside of the top 100 top cryptocurrency. I think it's like 105 right now. Coin is essentially a decentralized storage system, a cloud storage system, and that's essentially what I know about it. It's an interesting technology, interesting software, but yep, that's what it is. Totally decentralized storage. Yeah.
So, okay, I want to put this argument forward, and I think I've made this argument previously, but I'll make it again. We don't know which set of cryptos will end up winning in the end. There's thousands upon thousands of cryptos. Obviously, not all of them are going to be used as legal tender in the future. And so what you're kind of looking at is like a horse race, where there's like 12 horses, and you bet on one of them, and you hope it's the winner because the other 11 are going to eventually lose. So
what if it's a dog race?
Oh yeah, it could be a Doge race. That's true. But the thing about it is that investing in crypto is inherently risky because there are so many of them, and nobody knows who's going to win out in the end. However, when it comes to crypto, broadly speaking, there is actually a very good argument for why it is that it will probably end up overtaking the dollar, and it's a relatively simple argument. The way that a market works is that everyone exchanges a currency. So right now, a lot of people are exchanging a dollar. Now, without a dollar, like if there were no dollars that existed, how do I know how many pizzas it takes to buy an airplane if I'm going with a barter system? That's almost impossible to know exactly how many pizzas I ought pay for an airplane. Is it 1,000 pizzas? Is it a billion pizzas? I don't know. But with a centralized currency that is used as the exchange for everything, I actually can immediately know exactly how many pizzas it takes to buy an airplane. Okay, a pizza goes for $10 a pop. Airplane goes for $1 million. Okay, great. Then it's 100,000 pizzas that can buy me the airplane. This allows for incredibly efficient exchange between all goods in the market. And so the dollar here basically represents like almost like this weird thing that's in a quantum state of knowing the value of everything else, and you can then use it to exchange for anything else if you happen to have pizzas or you happen to have airplanes or pencils or whatever have you. That's the interesting thing about having a currency. It's an incredibly powerful thing that makes a market way more efficient. Now, the issue with a dollar is that you have, let's say, a government adjacent entity like the Federal Reserve who can then fuck with the value of the dollar. And what that does is it actually it fucks with your knowledge of exactly how many pizzas it takes to buy an airplane. So this actually causes inefficiencies in the market. Now, you'll notice just about as soon as someone was able to create a form of currency that people could exchange that would be very, very difficult for the government to control or print more of or manipulate, this kind of took off. And I think that this is actually the purpose of crypto going forward. The purpose of crypto going forward is that it actually allows the market to be even more efficient than just using a dollar. And that's why I believe that in the future, crypto will satisfy these purposes. And if you look at something like Bitcoin, that's going to be something that is more akin to gold. It's not actually that great at rapid exchanges, but it is a good store of value. Obviously, it's fluctuating right now, but I think in the future, let's say in 50 years, I could see Bitcoin being basically the next gold. Whereas, and this is just a not financial advice, whereas something like Dogecoin is actually much more amenable to rapid exchange, which means that it's a much better standard unit of currency that people can just easily trade. I think that Ethereum is also a good one. I like Doge personally because it has a picture of a dog. Fuck yeah. But the crypto, from the perspective of the market, is more efficient and better than a traditional dollar. And I think in general, regardless of what crypto it is, crypto itself will win out in the end. I just wanted to put that forward.
Yeah. Yes, I can see that, but at the same time, how would it completely usurp the dollar? I mean, doesn't the government have to have some form of centralized printing power? And if they didn't, it would essentially just be a handful of Bitcoin oligarchs who control the majority of the supply. Because, of course, you do have problems with whales who control large swaths of the coinage. It's tough. How would that work?
Well, right now, the largest whale is the Federal Reserve, and it can just print
Yes.
more dollars.
And,
So,
and I agree with that. However, the Federal Reserve is, technically it's kind of like an elected. It's not an elected because it's
not.
It's it's a three-letter agency. All the three-letter agencies are kind of problematic. Thomas Sowell goes through this a lot in many of his books.
It's not even quite part of the government. It's government
It's
adjacent.
not. Yes, you're right. The three-letter agencies are just like they're invincible. They live on forever. The officials are not elected; they're appointed. But the elected officials can appoint new members. It's not a perfect system, though. I get it.
No, I think actually, the government can operate fine with a currency that they don't have control over. They can still tax. Like, look, I'm not full ANCAP. I'm just aggressively libertarian. I believe that there are reasons why the government should be able to tax people, such as, funding for firefighters, police, and the largest military on the planet. I'm not opposed to the government, taxing your Dogecoin or your Bitcoin if we move into that sort of future. But I don't believe that the government should have the ability to print more of this money. That seems dangerous. And you know what? Given the economic situation that we currently find ourselves in, I think that we're learning that lesson.
What? No, that's Putin's price hike, you big dummy.
Oh, yes, yeah, this is all the fault of Putin.
Yeah,
of course.
It's all Putin. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. But ultimately, I think what's going to happen is the Federal Reserve is going to create their own Fed coin. Now, whether that's going to be an FED coin or an FUD, as in FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, I don't know. But there will be like a centralized government token, which kind of dovetails into cryptocurrency. And then, Bitcoin might be for savings and Ethereum as well to some extent and some transactions, and then Dogecoin more for transactions. But if I had to pick three, yeah, it'd be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin. Not necessarily in that order, because me personally, I hold much more Dogecoin than I do Ethereum or Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if the Federal Reserve released a Fed coin, they might call it the FUD coin, but I think it would mostly be the FU coin.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
It'd be the FU coin and inflation's good coin.
Yeah, I also think that, like, I'm not sure how much let's say that the Federal Reserve actually did release their own coin. I'm not sure, what the investment would be in it. I think that a lot of the major players would invest in it. Like, I'm sure that fucking Amazon and Microsoft and Facebook would want to buy up a whole bunch of them because, they're interlinked to the state. But I think that a lot of the other people that aren't involved in the state would try to stay away from the Fed coin. So yeah, I'm not sure how that would play out. I mean, maybe it would end up being the most dominant coin. I don't know. I know that I would want to stay away from it.
The Federal Reserve last year, over the past couple of years, has been talking about doing their own Fed coin. So it might be coming, but I don't fully understand the cryptocurrency space, so it's all pretty complex. I haven't done my research. It's hard to say how it would all kind of tie together, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not financial advice, but hey, if you wanted to go out and buy Dogecoin, you can. So, Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think that that's a good place to leave off. Let me say thank you very much, Jesus, for blessing us with your godly presence.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'd love to have you on again. And so this is me saying peace out and Breaker.
Uh, buy all of the things.
Yes, yes. Breaker, very nice meeting you. General, I guess we'll talk soon and see y'all in a bit.
All right, peace out, everyone.